She has
That's
hers.
okay. I was just curious if she was had a card for it, so I wanted to give it to her, but I'll put it there. So, okay, now we got, Tricia, are you ready? Okay.
It is 11 a.m. and the special meeting of the West Hills Commission is now called to order. Thank you all for coming, and it is a public meeting, and that's why we can have people of all sorts that can come to and it was announced as a public meeting, and it would come as no surprise to any of you that, here's Nancy, that we would need to have publicly notified meetings. So, and the meeting was suggested by the city, and it is to bring us up to date on the public safety building. I believe that's the purpose.
That's our purpose of our meeting today.
Thank you. And now we have everybody here.
Super. Well, with that, thank you, Jan. And we also have ICS, our consultant, and Wold Architects on staff here that will be able to share a little bit of information. But I was hoping we could cover a few things today, a little background information on the public safety, the location, a little bit of what the process looks like and the timeline, and along with then how we move forward, what we'll look forward to. So a little bit of the background, we have two public safety facilities that are being proposed to construct. One is the fire hall, and the other one is the law enforcement center of the police department. Both buildings are really not meeting the needs for our current or future facilities. One's I think about 118 years old. The other one was an old bank building. So the council or the city staff with our consultants have been working on it for a couple of years on what that might look like and how we could move forward with that. We had originally thought we would do one building, one combined building and using some joint spaces for efficiency. And probably this spring, summer, it was realized that we weren't able to keep one joint facility because we couldn't find location for it to go that could meet the response time for the fire department. And we had looked at several pieces of land, I'm gonna say 5, 6 different areas at a number of different alternatives and switches and moves to that. But when it really came down to it, is if we kept the joint building together, it possibly could increase the response time by 5 or 6 minutes. And our council, along with staff, couldn't recommend doing a joint building. So that joint building ended up, would save us, I'm gonna say this number, Chris, you might have to adjust, but around $4 million of cost savings to do a joint building. But to be able to buy a piece of land was probably almost swap out for that cost. The response time wasn't just getting out to the location, it was getting the people to the fire station and then back up. So most of our folks live on that side of town. So if we put a joint facility together, it was probably gonna be on this campus. So that was gonna add the extra time. So I believe it was in July, we met with a smaller group of the West Hills Commission. It wasn't a formal meeting because we didn't have a quorum, just to update you.
No, that's wrong. We had a quorum, we didn't have the time to have a notification for it to be a public meeting.
Okay,
We had a quorum,
okay,
but we didn't have a meeting because it could not be an official public meeting.
okay. But that was at the end of July to give an update on that the city had decided to split the facilities. And that the location for the police department would be here on campus. And the location that was determined to be the best fit for the police station was right over by Social Commons. I call it the Sledding Hill area because everybody knows where the Sledding Hill area. So in that area of the campus. And the timeline for that was to go out for bid sometime in the spring, summer of 26 and start construction in the fall of late summer of 2026. And with that, we've been working on with our task force, who have people from the fire and police departments, some council and staff that are working on a task force that is designing this. We spent probably about 6 months touring other facilities across the metro area and this, pretty much the metro area on what law enforcement centers and fire stations have, trying to take those best practices and implement it into Owatonna's needs. And so with that, I guess maybe I'll turn it to Chris and to Joel, maybe to give, fill in the blanks where I missed or update, additional updates, but, so that catches us up on the background and the why. And the why is we're really trying to build on city-owned land to try to keep the price down. The build these 2 projects is $61 million. So they're not cheap, but they are, true fire and police quality stations. They will be building it for the future. These will be our facilities for the next 50 years plus. And so we are designing something for the future. Some of the needs and the whys we can share, some we can't, because it is public safety, so we can't tell everything of why we might need something. So I do need to ask for that respect. I can't give you every detail on why maybe some of the stations are needed. With that, maybe I'll go to Joel and Chris.
I'm still on the ground, can I?
Well, go to that cord. I'll go there. Joel, if you go on the other side, crawl on your hands and knees. You'll see a cord there, right here. Oh, yeah. There's a HDMI card. Oh, you didn't have to go off. You might have to switch. Oh, I think I know what the problem is. Hold on.
The location of the fire department is not part of the West Hills Commission's purview. The reason that the West Hills Commission is meeting about this at all is that it is our job to try to preserve the integrity of the West Hills campus. And that is why the West Hills Commission has anything to talk about this. It has to do with the location of the proposed police department on the campus of West Hills, which the entire campus is protected by the Preservation Society. So that's why you see us and have this interest, why we have an interest in what's happening. Because other than that, nobody has to ask us what you do on Pearl Street. And actually, I think that the council could decide to do whatever it wanted to do on the campus, but we have been appointed to try to make sure that we contain the integrity of the campus.
That's a good point. Thank you, Jen. And maybe Nancy, you can help me if I mess this one up, but the city bought this campus in 1974, right? And it is our working campus, and so that is partly the commitment that the council has made is some substantial investments to this campus here, Bevel Hall, Merrill Hall. I mean, we continue to make those investments here. And so seeing the piece of property here, it kind of makes it that campus feel too, of reusing the land here. And we also made an addition, I think in 2024, and remodeled this space, and we did use the West Hills Commission for that, and worked with you and had someone, Dan sat on the design team. And then we also, at Merrill Hall, when we did the remodeling there, worked with Nancy and Ann with helping us make sure that we were able to at least tell the story of the history.
I don't know if these are on.
Yeah.
Okay. Because the campus is on the National Register of Historic Places, and the city receives state funding, we have to go through some hoops sometimes with the State Historic Preservation Office. And that's some of the reasons that we have some of those changes that you made. And we're glad that the city was able to work that out with them. But it's just, we like the feel here. We want to make sure it's a good fit. Okay. So, but anyway, thank you for what the city has done.
And also, the commission has not been asked to the best of my knowledge. We have not been asked by anybody on the city staff or the city council to throw our 2 cents worth or 5 cents worth into that. But we determined after our last regular meeting that we needed to say that that is part of our purview, so that's why.
Yep. Super. I'll turn it to Joel and Chris.
Sounds good, I'll kick it off and Joel can give the details. To your point on the numbers, joint facility would have been about 54 million, new facility 61. That does not include land, and the only land options we were investigating were at least starting at 3.5
Can you
million.
put the mic a little closer to yourself so we can hear you? Please?
How's that sound?
Could you also introduce yourself for those of us who don't know you?
Sure, Chris Seamer with ICS Consulting. So again, the joint facility was priced out at about 54 million. Separate facilities is 61 million. That did not include land because the city was looking at land that the city owned. Because we were trying to get fire to a centrally located area to make sure response times would either stay the same or actually improve. The best options that we had out there started at about 3.5 and actually went up from there. So that's why ultimately the council made the decision after having the facts that city-owned land is best. So West Hills was chosen for police primarily because police don't need to be centrally located. The patrols are out and about in the town, so they're able to respond to calls accordingly. They're not like a fire department where they house their vehicles in one central spot and respond when calls come in. That being said, again, we're not spending a lot of time on fire today, but that's why the LAC site was chosen where the police are right now, because that actually ends up being one of the best centrally located available sites in town. So with that, the site plan or the aerials up on the screen, we're looking in this zone right here to locate police. We looked at a lot of different options. Again, this is the most cost effective because we did look up here, we'd have to relocate and reconstruct buildings. Putting it in the front lawn was not desirable. So again, we're in the corner here, kind of off to the side, looking for those improvements. So, preliminary site plan, and then I'll let Joel kind of take it from there. But this is that second parking lot at this, next to the senior center. We are looking at realigning the road to increase the safety of this intersection. It has been something that's talked about that it's hard to make a turn without getting potentially clipped as you're taking the left hand over your right shoulder. Building will be here. Again, Joel will speak to the specifics, but it is a 2-story building with a tuck-under garage right now for storage of police facility vehicles. And then staff parking. These are sally ports, SWAT vehicle things, and then the pond will be modified. At this point, we've been trying to keep most of it, but it will have to move mainly just because of the size of the building impacting stormwater and the way the pond was originally designed. We need to
And I'd also like to point out that we've struggled with this for a while, is that we don't have sidewalks that come up the entranceway or the entryway, or the entrance to on the south side. And so you can see there that you have some sidewalks proposed in this plan, which I think again enhances kind of the walkability and just the connection.
Sure. I'm Joel Dunning. I'm with Wold Architects and Engineers. A police facility is needed in the community because the existing one is not functioning well, and so function of the existing or of the proposed facility is incredibly important. Actually, if you go back to the site plan first, and that includes zoning of the site itself. There's obviously a public component as people come in to have meetings with the police, report crimes, and so on, and also a lot of interaction with city staff and police administration. So having the public public entry and the public parking face the City Hall building is very important. We also think that the doing research and looking into the history of the campus here, that front lawn is very important in the prominence of the layout of the campus, and having the public entrance on the north side facing that lawn is very important to reinforce the nature of that space. The back side or the south side of this plan then becomes secure. There's a very important aspect of police facilities to have a securable space where people can park their cars, they can get in and out of the building and not be accosted by public, and as well, people who are maybe in custody after an arrest need to be transported into the building for interview and for holding and DUI testing and so on, in a manner that's also protected as well. So those two elements on the south and the west side are positioned away from the public, from that front lawn, and a little bit more protected on the back sides of the building. And also, as Chris mentioned, the topography of the drop makes it so that that south side and east side are lower and can provide access into that garage that's tucked into the hill, so that it decreases the size of the building visually. So if you want to go into the plan, this is the main level, so the main entry. We're still in design, very early in design. This is a schematic plan that shows where the different functions would be, but the very top corner near the cursor is the main entry. Whether that's facing to the west towards parking or projects out a little bit towards the north, with a nod towards the towards this building, City Hall, or even more visibility towards or from State Street, and as people are coming up the drive. Those are all design things that are still to be considered at this point, but for the most part, that furthest north is the public lobby, public entry. Offices facing the north facade and east facade, so that there'll be good windows and fenestration and nice and open looking. And then even wrapping around to the south facade, there's office space as well. The lower level, which is tucked in the ground, lower level is the mostly garage space, locker, weight room, and so on. And so tucking that into the ground and diminishing the garage appearance is important. It is important to have two ways out of the garage for police, so that in an emergency, or if one of the garage doors breaks, they still have a way to get in and out. So those are facing east because that's the lower portion of the building, lower topography, where the drive lanes can be accessed easiest. And then you can see the dashed line on the left side of the plan. The building actually extends on the upper level on the top side of the hill on the far left. So basic layout, but I think it's really important to acknowledge that common space, the front lawn on State Street, is facing the public, and the more secure and functional side of the police is south and west.
So will you speak a little bit about your company with working with historical campuses such as ours, and the work that you do, and the importance and the respect of just tying that building in here?
Absolutely. Wold Architects and Engineers has focused on public sector architecture for it's almost 60 years now, and so we find ourselves working on a lot of historic campuses, historic courthouses, city halls, and so on. So we have a lot of people on staff who are very familiar with historic preservation and how to build new buildings on a historic campus that honor the past, but also follow the Secretary of Interior's recommendations that there be a clear distinction between what's new and what's historic. So using similar materials on site, and I think a great example might be the Art Center behind here, the addition that was done a number of years ago that uses all the same brick, the same stone. It blends in from a material standpoint, but is a more modern interpretation, so that the people who are unfamiliar with the campus can clearly tell it's not historic, not original to the campus. It's an intervention. So we'll find ourselves somewhere in that in that realm where we're leveraging the materials that are on campus and historic, but maybe not mimicking a 120-year-old building because the new police building isn't actually historic, it's new.
So we've talked a little bit about the why the locate up here, the why to split the building, some of the footprint. This is a substantial size building, is it 30,000 square, 24,000 square?
Footprint.
30? Yeah, so it's big. And is there any questions up to this point? Because we're kind of like throwing a lot at you, so I just want to make sure.
Harlan Burmeister, and I'm just curious to know if were there ever buildings on that site originally, way back? Have there ever been buildings over there?
I'd have to go to Nancy.
Yeah. Close to that was the first hospital that was built. That was just a wooden frame building and was taken down, I believe, after the city purchased it. And then there was a greenhouse.
I'm just following this up from a preservation point of view from the campus, because I was involved in the art center, and I didn't know how touchy this is. So if there were buildings there, then the next question, and they're down, the next question is, can those footprints be built on? You know, do we have to protect the footprint of those old buildings? I don't have the answer, I'm just asking questions.
Yeah, and I was late because I was doing some research. I was trying to find any answer about that. I have a call into the State Historic Preservation Office because there's nothing written in the qualifications that I found that said the footprints were not to be built on. But I'm still in the beginning, so I don't know, maybe you are aware of that.
I've been looking through old drawings that the city has. It does not appear that we are on the senior center would have been more where those buildings were. It appears
Yes,
that
and
we're
probably
on
the
what was
parking lot.
considered a lawn
Yeah.
at the time, but we're still digging through old drawings to see just what we can find.
Okay.
So with that, then, our next steps is we've been trying to, I guess we call this scoping, right? It started with bubbles and started forming into actual, some floor plans. Our next step would be moving into the kind of the exterior, the design. So, you know, this is where I would come forward and ask that someone from, the West Hills Commission could maybe sit on those discussions too, so we can say, yeah, we like that, or we don't like this, or how does this, work? So at least a seat at the table, similar to what we did, with the Crandall space, and also with the Merrill Hall project too. And so it probably, is probably a first quarter, maybe second quarter kind of commitment to get that final design, done on the external, or exterior, sorry. So that's kind of where we're sitting at with there. So, Joel or Chris, when does the next phase of the, kind of the finishes start being discussed? Is that gonna be in January, or will that be in
Our
December?
intent is to go through a design development phase where our concept of a plan turns into a real building over the next 3 months. So by the end of January, say mid-February, we'll be at that point where we have renderings of what the building looks like, the actual materials on it, and all the structure and systems, mechanical, electrical, will all be realistically applied to it. So
So by the end of January, we'd be kind of looking at the exterior of it?
Yep.
And that, process would take a few months, so like in March,
No, that's when that process would end.
it would end, so we're gonna be working on it now in
Because
December. and
after
January.
that, they'll be working on the construction documents that we actually have contractors bid off of.
So I guess that's the ask from, Jan, your commission, is if there would be someone that'd be willing to kind of do what we've done on the other, or if there's an interest in it, or if you'd rather just have us come back, and, report back. We can do both too.
I have a question. I didn't get in earlier. Will all those trees be gone? In that area?
On that area, yes, we'll have to cut trees down.
All, pretty much all of them at this point.
We'll plan accordingly, but wherever we're not disturbing, we won't be cutting.
Right, but, okay. It's a 2-level building, and from the street, we'll see the first level.
from
As we
city,
drive up on our left, which is the south side. We're driving in, going west. We'll just see the first level, or will we
There's
see?
two levels.
You'll see two.
You'll see two levels, but the lower level will be down. You'll see that as you're coming up the hill.
Okay, but we'll be at grade probably where the street is.
On the north side of the building will be a grid.
Right, so that's the main visual as they come up into the campus,
Yes.
is that facade of that, first level.
On both stories. Both stories will be visible.
Coming up the hill all the way up,
Yep.
is gonna stand up as full two-level building.
Yeah, it's stepped back right now so that you can see just like the hill rises up, the building, go to that garage level plan. So there's a dashed line that cuts across on the left side of the mechanical electrical. So the upper level is at that dashed line, and then it steps.
On the right there?
Yes, where the cursor's tracing right now. So the upper level steps back about 30 feet to soften that two-story prominence. So you see both the first and second story, but it's not going to present itself as a two-story tall building.
Not just gonna be a plain brick wall, then
No.
be half submerged or almost, where the green things are. Those are parking spots,
Right.
underground parking.
Yes.
Okay. So we're primarily tasked with making sure it fits into the campus scape, so to speak,
That's my understanding.
right? Okay.
And this is where it's going to go, no matter what? Is that what I'm hearing?
Nobody's asked us, so, that has never come up. Gee, West Hills Commission, do you like this idea that we're gonna stick this other building over there? And can you go along with that, provided we do the things that preserve the integrity of the campus? Nobody's asked us that question, but, that's my that unless somebody's asked somebody that I don't know about, we've not been asked that question.
That was my attempt in the July meeting to at least update you on that. Did I ask?
That was an update, but it wasn't an ask. So, and it was just the surprise about, this is what we're gonna do. So that's, we could not have, it was not an official public meeting. We couldn't have said, gee, we think that's a good idea or that's a bad idea, because it was just a consulting meeting that you asked for to bring us up to date before you had the council's work session. So, that was that timing of that. So, nobody's asked us, even though that's been, over the years, there've been, I think we are the third West Hills Commission. And some of that I can tell you about because I was here for the first one, from 74, when the city was first purchased the property. And, when those decisions were made about what to do with some of those buildings, the West Hills Commission, was a driving force on getting a lot of things done. It moved along. Their meetings were all public, and they were covered in the newspaper. Some of the time I might have done. So that's, my recollection about that. So, but to the best of my knowledge, we've not been asked, what do you think about this? Or do you think there's some other place on the campus that the city owns that maybe we could stick this building that wouldn't be in the front? I appreciate your consideration of the front lawn, but it's still part of, as you drive in, that's part of what you see.
I think to your point too, Jan, one, we can always do better at communicating, so I will continue to work towards better. Also, as part of our review, we looked at several locations across the campus, so we have to have a functional building too, helps minimize the expense. And so with that, of knowing what we needed in this building, I believe, and with the chief's recommendation of where to go for his operation, that's where we landed with the consideration of how not to put it on the front lawn and destroy them.
What about the sculptures?
Yes, that will be part of what we can work on, part of with the site layout of where best to reuse those or replace those, or find a new location. Probably work a lot with Sylvan and the commission on saying, where's the best spot to use them? If there's a way that we can incorporate them into this site, how fun would that be?
So that, from what you're saying then, so the mature trees will have to go in order to put a building there. The pond, which is really a retention pond, is it not? It has to do with runoff and drainage.
Stormwater treatment, it's not a retention pond right now.
It is a what?
It's not a retention pond right now.
But it would have to be, is that what I'm hearing you say?
Undetermined how we're going to treat, that'll be a work with city engineering.
It's not, we're
department.
not talking about people fishing for bullheads there, by any means,
Gotta
but.
draw the limit somewhere.
But on that, there's the same limit as any other industry for runoff for the parking that's out there, right? Any hard surface
It's,
that's taken place.
that's what its purpose is to make sure we're dealing with the hard surface.
So according to one of the drawings, the pond looked a lot bigger, obviously, than what it is now. And it sits more at the very bottom of that. As you come in, you first see the pond and the no bullhead fishing sign.
And again, it's not, it likely isn't a pond, it is likely an infiltration basin, so there's not, there wouldn't be water sitting there unless there's a very.
But you've
large-
described it as a
No.
park.
Well, most of them are described as ponds, and they're built at places just for extra water, because of the hard surface.
But the idea would be that it doesn't hold water long
Right,
term, so it becomes dry.
And the impervious surfaces increase dramatically.
Yep, correct, that's what the pond's for,
No,
the infiltration.
I understand that. I'm asking about the impervious surfaces
Correct.
increase dramatically on the campus.
Correct.
I can understand the city's need for police, we've established the need, and I think the location has been identified by the city and so on. I've been hearing though from a few people that have found out about this, saying, what's it do to the integrity of the West Hills property in terms of the way it has been arranged? They're gonna see this mammoth building as they come in, which is, now it's a nice garden place with trees and so on, and we're really changing that whole property. And they're saying, is that something we want to do? I'm asking the question, I guess.
I think it'll probably help enhance our campus too. I get that it's changing, but I was shared with from the council that they bought this campus to be a working campus, and so we have to allow it to be a city campus. I think we are working hard and we maintain an integrity of trying to keep it the West Hills campus. To your point, Arlen, though, there is some improvements that'll happen with this project. The one that the entrance road will be, that I think is a nice entrance addition, upgrade, along with the sidewalk. And the other piece that I think, as I spend time here, I notice that people use this as almost like a park setting, right? You see people walking, I see it all weekend long, during the weekend, you see people coming out for graduation photos. And so I think it just enhances the city continuing to invest in this. Because if we don't have this here, it makes it easier for us to continue that investment of the city operation here on the hill. And so, I know it's changed, I know, it looks like, but we will do our best to make sure that we hold to the integrity of the campus and the history and the qualityness of it. I mean, they're beautiful buildings up here.
Has there been some traffic study? Have there been traffic studies?
No traffic studies have been requested by the city or the state. This isn't a high volume building. This is your police department that's on patrol, coming back to the building between patrols, and very minimal visitors actually to the building from the public side.
Nancy, have anything else?
I don't, this is an unusual West Hills Commission meeting, I would say. Are we at any point hearing from those who attended?
Sure, good.
Well, I wasn't sure if that's appropriate.
If, in a regular West Hills Commission meeting, anyone who attends, is perfectly, welcome to ask or talk or provide their opinions about anything we do or say. So is there anyone, that's visiting us today that would like to ask the commission or, and in this case, the city about something? Go
If
ahead.
so, if I'm gonna go get the mic, if they'll say their name and address, and I'll have a sheet for them to sign up, but if, give me a second to grab the mic.
Chad, you have to wait.
I've
Please
been
wait.
on Owatonna all my life, and this is absolutely the worst possible placement of a public building that I have ever seen in Owatonna. And I don't like it. I think the council took the easy way out. There's gotta be a better location than a historic site like this is. It does not fit, it's shoehorned in there, I
Hey,
beg
Chad.
your pardon.
Do you mind, I'll hold the mic so others can hear too.
It's an abomination.
Chad Lang, this is Chad Lang,
Yes.
who is speaking as a lifelong, resident of Owatonna, and they'd like you to come and say this all over again, if you could, into the microphone so everyone can hear you and it can go on
Could
the
be
record.
worse this time.
It'll be even better this time, you had rehearsal, so, thank you, Chad.
I'm Chad Lang. I'm a lifelong resident of Owatonna. And this project is absolutely the worst location for a public building that I can remember here as a citizen of Owatonna. I think it's shoehorned in there. I think the council should go back to the drawing board and find a more suitable place. And I think if you ask the average citizen, they would agree with this. And I am sorry that the powers that be did not come to this West Hills Commission before this time. It doesn't bode well. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Kevin?
Kevin Dolmuth. I'm also a lifelong resident, but not as long as Chad. And I think being on we're talking police, fire, everything. I was on the fire department for 32 years, and we put millions in that building 25 years ago. It was designed for the big equipment. And I'm not against a new facility, which we need to look into the future. That building's been there for 100 and some years. You just propose that these other buildings are gonna be there for 50 plus. I hope it's another 100, but I think the improvements on our facilities are a great thing. Right now, I believe our police department is doing a very good job. They've got their hands full with another generation. The sheriff's department's the same way. I just totally support them. The fire department is a great family down there, and there's less fires now than there was back in '78 when I got on. I'm not beating up progress, new buildings. I think we do need that in time. But as taxpayers, I think a lot of taxpayers, they've seen their taxes double in 7 years. I think we just need to, and I heard this from a respective community person this morning. We need to tap the brakes on our increases. Just tap the brakes a little bit. Is this stuff needed? Yes. But, we're still paying for stuff that we haven't paid for 20 years. So, but I'm all for it. It looks like a really good facility. I agree with the security of the police department. That's good. And I'm glad you guys are keeping the city is keeping the fire department centrally located down there. And I kind of heard that they're gonna get rid of Pearl Street in that area, so it's a bigger area. That's good. The city's looking for the future, they need bigger space, I agree with that, so. I think the city and your commission need to talk a little bit more, and I think the city needs to listen to the public a little bit more, but I think it's all great. This is our grandson's future, our grandkids' future, so I commend everybody, so. And Chad had some good points. So, thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Yes. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Nope, my name is Keith Reese. I live at 406 State Avenue, which is the yellow house at the bottom of the sledding hill. I am concerned about all the kids that come over there. I mean, as a person that lives there, you hear them giggling and laughing all weekend long, all winter long. I don't know what this is gonna do to that, if you're gonna, the other part I have is the water retention. It is a water haven down there, and even with the retention pond, or whatever you guys wanna call it. I am concerned about the fact that the city has not talked to the people about this. We just had the school levy get denied because of the money, and a pretty strong wording of it. I do believe this isn't a atrocity to have it right where it's at. I believe there are other places, and I'd like to know what those other places were that the city looked into. We did the annex building over here, there's plenty of land next to that, and there's other spots. The other concern is between the old high school and the new high school and all the promises that this is gonna last 80, 50, 20, 100 years, whatever it is. For example, Medford School after 20 years is already doing remodeling on theirs, when that was supposed to last forever too. The front of the high school is supposed to last however long that was supposed to last, and it's not there either. What about that property and other properties around town?
Thank you.
My name is Tina Schaefer, I'm a resident of Owatonna. I was gonna piggyback on your asking about the trees, and the foundation, so the historical element here that has to be asked and found out. Are there any protected trees in this area? I know a friend of mine would always come to Owatonna and see one of the biggest cottonwoods, I think is on the property here somewhere, that is registered with the state of Minnesota in the tree preservation. So just curious to know, where is that tree located on the property? That would be good to find out before you go any farther with plans, because that might be a roadblock. I was wondering about clarifying, if I heard it wrong. So $54 million if the two locations, police and fire, are separated, so it would be 54 each, or 61 million if they were in a joint location, which would be a savings of 7 million, not 4. I thought I heard 4, but, is that correct?
That's incorrect.
That's
It was, the price tag was 54 million for a joint facility.
Okay, I had it backwards, okay. so-
61 million for separating the buildings, and neither of those prices included purchasing additional property to build those buildings.
Okay, so 54 was joint, 61 individual, so this one would be 61, not counting land in any case.
Correct, and there is no land cost because the city owns property already where these
Okay.
buildings would be going. We did look at 6 individual properties that the city owned around town, and then a couple came to light as potential sellers. That's where the price tag of the 3.5 plus comes from. Those landowners were unwilling to come to an agreement with the city.
I just want to clarify, 61 million is both the fire and the police.
Correct.
You know, that,
If they were on
oh,
location.
building the two buildings together, or not together, but at the same time.
Okay.
So it includes both facilities, the 61, so it's not 61 for this and 61 for that. 61 for the two, but they're separate locations.
Okay, so for this plan, in this location, the cost is,
With the fire department, 61 million total.
oh, including the fire department and
Correct.
police
It
on
would
this
split the two
location?
costs out separately, yeah.
Okay, all right. And then, you said square foot, where's my square foot? The square foot of the joint building, what did you say that would be?
I don't
They
think
said
we mentioned-
30,000.
Oh, here it is,
For
30,000.
For this
For this
building, for
building.
this building only.
It has nothing to do with the downtown Pearl Street.
That's
Oh,
not
the-
correct.
just the
It's
one.
just this one.
That was just one floor of that building. That is not the total square footage of the police department.
You said the footprint was 30,000 square feet, correct?
Correct.
And what is the footprint of the whole parking lots, ponds, everything?
I don't think it's been calculated yet.
I don't have that number right now.
Oh, you would
We are
think you,
reusing the one part, reusing a
Correct.
portion of the social commons, there's 2 parking lots over at social common, so I think they're considering using that one to help support
Okay.
this building.
so this 61 million is not the parking lots, is not the sidewalks?
It's all inclusive project costs.
It is all
Yes.
inclusive, okay, so then you would know somewhere what the square footage is,
We do, but again,
calculate that.
this plan is new as of this morning, so we have not recalculated numbers.
Oh, okay. All right, but that price, whatever price set out will include the building, the infrastructure, the parking lots,
Correct.
the
Furniture,
hooking in,
technology, everything.
everything. And would they have their own separate, separate utilities, separate water systems, separate everything? Or would you
They'll
keep
tie
that?
into city utilities.
But they'll have their own to their building, right? Like, they'll have a water.
Their own
meter.
water meter, their own power meter.
Alright, thank you. And then I had heard that in 2016, the city council purchased some land out on 24th, 25th Street, and that's where this was supposed to go.
There was property that the city purchased for a potential fire station that was evaluated in this. It is not large enough for a full fire station. It would more of a satellite station in the future. That's
So
what it
that
was
property is
purchased for.
smaller than this?
Correct.
Oh.
Quite a bit smaller. And smaller than what the fire station size needs as well. Again, it was future planning for a future satellite station at some point when Owatonna grows to the point of about 30,000 plus, I think is what the initial thought was.
Okay. Is that property paid off yet?
What was your question?
Is that property paid off yet?
I believe it is, I don't have I can get back to you with that, but I don't know that.
Alright. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe I read, in a newspaper or two, that the city has purchased the, old district offices on Ridge Street and is gonna remodel that building to be the police station for a while. Is that still on the docket?
So correct, the city did purchase the building as a swing space. It is actually smaller than their current police facility, and they will be making sacrifices while they're housed there so that we can build the fire station at the same time as we build.
Because you need to knock that down the
Correct.
savings and
Correct.
building, and so you can build a new building on Pearl Street, but that's not part of the West Hills Commission's,
Correct.
charge. I just wanted to know that you have something else going on in that area. Then what will happen to that building and property?
The city will make a determination when police are no longer housed there, but again, it is very minimal improvements we are making that building. They are basically just gonna move in and use it almost as is while we tear down the existing station so fire can be built at the same time.
So we do need to do an ADA accessibility, so like I said, there's minimal things that we are doing just to hold it. And so, the city doesn't have intentions of keeping the building after, we're done, and so we'll look for partners to pull up next to it. So,
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Sarah Sanchez. I am a resident here. I've moved here when I was 4 years old, so I've been here most of my life. My concern or thoughts here to share with you guys, I won't go into all the things because it's not a city council meeting and you guys are here helping in the best way you can. I guess my primary concern is just addressing the fact that while there is a lot of opposition to the tax levy, I don't think that it is meant to be something that, or stating that we are not we're opposed, like we were saying earlier, we're not opposed to making sure that we have the needed improvements. The situation is, as we just addressed earlier as well, we just had a levy for the school. We voted no. We are at a point as residents, as small business owners, you know, as the seniors on a fixed budget who are having a very hard time as it is. And my concern and what I feel for you guys right now, as we stated earlier, I feel like we're being voluntold. You are being brought up here to be asked for your thoughts, quotes. And that, I do not believe is what we have done before, and it's not the spirit of what I thought Owatonna stood for. There's a lot of talk about inclusion. My father had a very close relationship with Pete Connor many years ago. I used to walk into his office all the time with my father. And we'd go to meetings, and again, it is that feeling of being voluntold when and maybe there have been notices, maybe they're in the newspaper, but what is the population that actually gets the newspaper now? Most people don't get the newspaper. Most people are getting most of their news from social media, or they're getting it somewhere else, such as maybe even the Shopper, that actually comes out as a free publication to every household. There should be a big one-page ad that says, we are having these conversations this, and this day, because the more people I talk to, the more people aren't frustrated about what's going on, they're frustrated, they don't know that it's going on. And that is where, when you lose transparency and accountability, you lose trust. Mm-hmm. And that, I think, is where all these questions, our community loves the fact that we have a safe and well taken care of community, but we also can only do what we can do. And we can only do so much when we are also working in partnership. So I admire you all for doing what you're doing and doing your best to be a part of that process. But again, we cannot make any great strides if we're being voluntold. That is my concern, and that was what I noticed when we started talking. I had no idea. I thought this would be a venture or a partnership, and so that is one of my biggest concerns. When also there could be, I just think that there are limited options, because there are limited. It's more like almost like a forced, rushed thing versus actually taking time to see other solutions and look at things such as maybe there's other partnerships that we can do, which would be like a private-public partnership, and perhaps, just looking at other places for waste within our current budget. Again, also making sure that we have that transparency on project costs, alternative designs, timelines, which all of that would need to go back to full transparency with the public and making sure that we get real, authentic community engagement. So I appreciate for you guys what you're doing and keeping West Hills a beautiful part of Owatonna. I actually live on Riverside Avenue, and so West Hills has been a part of my life the whole time. Sledding, art center, and going into Pete's office. So I really appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much, and thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Ms. Sanchez. to clear up, the city does not need to have a bond referendum, correct? It would just be, the $61 million or whatever would have to be on the state bonding bill. And,
No.
is that correct?
No, it's not correct.
Okay, so the city
There's no
could
state
just,
money involved.
no, say
No.
that again.
No state money involved.
So who's gonna pay for it?
This is, on the tax
We-
levy. So this is an operational expense.
There won't be a public vote.
No public vote, because only school districts have to ask to do that.
Yes. Can I just respond back to, is it Sarah? You say, yeah, thank you for your words. I do appreciate good communication and transparency, so I appreciate you holding us to that. It is hard to communicate with people, it's hard to find where people get their news from. I don't know, Chris, if you can bring up the Owatonna website, because I want you to know that there's a place where you can have a notify me. So when we do, because we have been working on this for several years, and so it has gone to council, and there's a spot where you can be notified, so when, information is pushed out, you get the newsletter, or you get the information source, so you're getting it right from us, you don't have to go to social media, you go to social media, but you can get the actual. And then it also talks about upcoming meetings too, and so if you go down, Chris, all the way down, on the main page, going all the way down, it should say subscribe, it's there. There's a, if you go all the way down, it's there too, to subscribe, and then you can, choose what you wanna be heard about, if it's, that, monthly newsletter that talks about, items, if there's a news release, it gets pushed out, you would get notified. So you can go through and check what you would like to do. So it's a way to stay involved with, city business, because it's hard to always communicate out, because we don't know where people are picking up their news. So we do talk about this. So to your point, we have been talking about it for several years, most recently in the last 2 years, seriously, about how do we move forward with doing it, so.
I think that's something that most people, and that's the issue, is that most people don't know where to start.
Yes.
That was one thing that, like, as I talk to you, obviously, I've got a big mouth and I'm telling everybody, they don't know what they're happening, they don't know where to go to get information. And that's something that I think could improve relations all around.
I agree.
And so that is, this, I don't know, what part, but I know that I will tell as many people as possible about this option so that they can just get it right to their email.
Yep.
Or, but I think having it at least somewhere, again, like I think of the shopper because it goes out to everyone and those who don't necessarily use the internet very much, which is a part of the population that's very much affected by a levy. I think that would be just so they can at least see that, and even putting on here for more, say subscribe for updates and having a website or whatever, I think would be helpful. But I will definitely do my best so that many people know about this.
I just wanna share how you can get the information,
Yep.
so
Yeah.
thank you for bringing that up, because it's a constant, effort to try to do it, so.
Yes, ma'am, sorry for the wait.
That's all right. Melissa Zimmerman, 2525 Stony Creek Drive. I am that average citizen. I've only been here for 20 years. 20 years. I have a parent of 4 kids. My kids range from 5 to 15, and we spend hours each winter at that sledding hill. And I know that sledding hill sounds minor compared to a fire station, but Owatonna lacks things for our kids to do. Unfortunately, my family has been one of those families that has relied on both the Owatonna Police and Fire Department to come to our rescue many times. My kids struggle with nothing to do in this town. Taking away that sledding hill is important because that's what teenagers are doing because there is nothing else for them to do. In addition, we were told that this building was needed because they lacked the training facilities and the building wasn't large enough that currently exists. The footprint of this building was 30,000 square feet. What is that compared to the current building that's 3 floors of usable space for the fire department? We know that? space for the fire department to do the trainings that they wanted to have, to call in the other fire departments from the areas around here, to do those large trainings that they wanted. This footprint isn't very large here. Are we really gaining anything? If that was what the main goal was, how are we gaining that space for them to have those trainings? Or is this being forced into this space? Maybe a better option is what they had suggested with 2 facilities. We keep that main downtown one and we have a satellite facility. Owatonna is growing. It's going to grow to the east and it's going to grow to the north. We're landlocked on the south and we're landlocked on the west. Do we want 1 fire department in the middle of town? Or do we want 2 that can respond faster to different areas? 1 serving your business district and 1 serving your residential. Does that reduce costs, improving the 1 building we have and building a smaller facility? Taxes are a huge problem right now, and as we've heard, we just voted down that school levy. If you put this to a vote, people are gonna tell you the same thing right now. We don't have the funding to do it. Times are hard. Inflation is increasing, pay is not matching. How are we supposed to keep funding this? Currently, my taxes are proposed to meet the special property tax refunds again. We just did that 2 years ago as well. This should not be an every year and every other year thing. That needs to be a consideration. As Jenna said, this has been ongoing for several years. I'm with the East Side Corridor and I've been attending every meeting for 3.5 years. The first I heard about this was as it went into legislation for the 2024 session, looking for $1.5 million from the state. And we were told by our council members that if that money didn't come to fruition, we wouldn't be pursuing this. That money didn't come to fruition, yet the project was moved forward. Why? I think that's a majority of what I wanted to say, but I think we really need to consider if this is really the best fit for this building. And I, as a resident who needs that fire and police department, and they do an amazing job, really want the best for them, and I'm not sure this is it. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Lynn Underwood. I've lived here for around 70 years. I've delivered papers here when I was a teenager. I don't think this is a place for this building. We need a community center somewhere down the road. This is a place for the community center. Not the fire department, not the police station. There's gotta be other property available. And even if it does cost $3.5 million more, it's peanuts compared to what you can spend on buildings. So let's get property someplace that is not going to spoil the ambiance of West Hills.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say one more thing, is like, I've been here for 48 years, 49 years, I actually delivered papers in this whole neighborhood when I was 11 years old and on too. Parents lived over here, I grew up over here, then moved out of town for a little bit, then rural Owatonna, and then moved back in. But, when we moved into that State Street part, you go up Glendale and they wanted to add that road up to that big old house back there, and there's a petition, we got letters, people in the neighborhood got letters about that. If I want to build a bigger than allowed square footage garage, I get a letter, or have to present it to my neighborhood and let them have conversations about that, and see how we go forward with that. And like they said earlier, with the not letting us know or not having to have meetings, or because it's bonded, we don't need to get the money approved or what have you, that's where I think a lot of this is getting pushed back. You guys are West Hills, right? You're not city council members, right? So we can't vote you guys in or out or anything like that, but these people, these meetings, we would like to know more, and where they are, when they are, why they are, and what, like I said earlier, where these other locations were. As far as that fire, I know this isn't the fire station one, but to have that remote other location and still preserve our historical one downtown, if that would alleviate any pressures, or like I said, make a training facility out of it or something else, that would make more sense to me personally than anything else. And I thought, well, why were the leaving their current spot in the first place. Dispatch has been pulled out of there and go to Faribault. So there should be more room in that building for them now than there was previously. It may not be enough, but it is more room. And that's where I think you are, and I understand they have websites that we can get to and everything, but there should be letters going out, at least to the people in the neighborhood. Because that proposal, you're taking about 15 houses and taking out their park views from their houses to put a 2-story built garage on the backside of their houses. And none of these people have been told about it. I talked to multiple ones of it, and they say, well, there's nothing we can do. They're not gonna vote on it, they're not gonna talk to us about it, they're just gonna do what they wanna do. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration is coming in. So if we could get on, even on this website, if you could put the other places that we've investigated and why they didn't work, I think you would have a lot more understanding at least as why you're gonna go out the way that you are.
So, we are working on getting a neighborhood meeting, effective neighbors meeting. It was actually, I think the letters plan to go out this week to you, because we have to wait till certain milestones happen to get approval before we can notify.
I've been to other council meetings, and usually when those letters come out, because you're waiting, a lot of the things have already been done. A lot of the payments to the engineers and that have already been done. Oh, we already have $1 million invested into this. We got $100,000 invested into that. We can't back up now. And at that point, it's kind of too late to point to a different location. And I think that's, she said she's been here for how many years watching these things, and none of us have known about, I've been there for 8 years at this location and never heard anything about this until just recently, and was basically told there's nothing I can do about it.
Well, and to be fair, this is a building on city property, so nothing came before the council to purchase anything that would have gotten up.
I understand, but aren't we city? Aren't we part of the city? Why are we being included in this information?
So, well, we're managing what we own, and that's what we do, right? That's what we're hired to do, is to take care of the assets that we own and to keep the operation.
And review that with the people who live in the city. And present that to them so they know what you were planning and thinking and feeling and wanting to do, rather than just getting too far down the road before we can do anything about it. That's where I'm concerned.
Jenna, could you explain again the funding for this, please?
The funding,
Yeah.
because this is not, we did pursue state bonding, but we did not, receive it. We could put in for another bonding bill this year, but it was pretty clear to us, from, state legislators that they typically don't fund fire or police stations, because they see that as a local responsibility. And what I was told pretty, straightforward is it would be an exception to fund one, because if they fund one, they're gonna have 700 more coming their way. And so we knew it was a long shot, but we wanted to try. And so we did, and we didn't receive the initial money. To go after it again would hold things up, and it would probably just add to the cost. When you get state bonding, dollars, there comes strings attached that you have to build it a certain way. And so when we realized how much we might get, and we had to design this building to have those requirements in there, it added substantially to the bottom line. So staff decided that to build a building without those restrictions and put it in to go to the state to ask for bonding, we have to design it right now. So we'd have to design it with those improvements in the design, which added substantial dollars to the bottom line. And so that's why we decided not to do it. So to answer your question, this is will be funded through levy, and so we're working with our financial management plan on how to best approach that. And
So the levy would be like a year from now?
the levy would probably be the first bond payment would be due in probably 2027 or 2028.
And the levy is just something that can be applied to our taxes.
Correct, yes.
Do we know what that cost is gonna be? Predicted?
We don't have those numbers yet, that's what we're still also.
Which levy?
So it's an increase in taxes to our.
City levy.
We have to pay for it through our.
It's already been approved.
So it's $61
So they
million
have to send it out again?
They have to do a levy every year.
On the
Okay.
bond, you sell municipal bonds or something in order to
All the
have
stuff
them
go
to
with.
pay for the things that have to be paid for.
And just one thing, we're the West Hills Commission, primarily concerned with what happens on campus here. And all the talk is great, that should be carried forward, however, to people that really have a decision to make on the project, et cetera, et cetera. As far as the West Hills Commission, my concern, there's a few of them. One, the size of the building and the visual effect. I can picture it, for those that drive up here a lot, I can just picture it sitting there. And no offense, Arlen, but when the Art Center was built, it really, maybe the brick match, that was about it.
I wasn't the architect.
I understand, but I mean, but it's just a block onto a very beautiful building. Sure, the brick match is a big deal. The other is the trees. There's a number of trees that'll leave that property. I mean, you can look at that property from the parking lot all the way down to your house probably.
Yes.
And those will all pretty much be gone.
Yep.
And I'm, okay, you're gonna say 4 or 5. Oh, okay, great. Obviously the historic, I didn't know about historical trees, but, anyway.
Not just removed, but replaced by a 2-story garage.
Well, I understand that. The whole thing is, and also the neighborhood. I brought this up, I believe, at the meeting, previous one we had. You know, what about the neighborhood? Because you're putting this very busy, whether they're out on patrol or not, 24-hour, 7-day-a-week business right in their backyard. Because the width of it, if you look at it, isn't that great once you get that parking lot in and activity and so on. So it is basically right in their backyard. And the history fit of this up here versus what we have up here. I don't care what the interior looks like. That isn't the purpose. The purpose of West Hills, you come up, see these buildings. You can do whatever you want inside to make it functional, but the building is what's historic in that regard. I mean, you save as much as you can, but you can't bring modern technology and everything into like this place. You used to have a stage and so on. I mean, it's changed, but it's still, you look under the outside and it's very beautiful. So that's what I think we're here for as a West Hills Commission, is to express our concern, if any, about it being on campus, what it's gonna look like if it ends up being on campus, and so on. And then one question I have, if you bring up that tree line thing, the picture of the satellite picture. Who owns the property between the Steele County Administration Building and Truth?
Steele County.
County bought all that from the city? Or the city probably gave it to them? But that was all part of the purchase of this.
Talking about this?
Yes.
Yep.
That's owned by the county.
Right, okay. And that, they have plans for that?
Not that we're aware of.
Would they give it back to us? Nobody, you know, you've asked, and they said no.
I haven't been part of any conversations.
Okay. So you haven't looked at everything possible?
Well, to that point, police chief and the task force did look at this, positioning the building on the back road here. That was not desirable because of where this road ends up coming out near the intersection of getting onto I-35.
Big deal. Because of what?
Okay, and
the
coming out and getting on the state, going up to the stoplight, taking a right, going down Bridge and getting on I-35 is much more
Another aspect
good
was
for, I mean, that's
Another
analyzed by the police chief to be much more efficient.
Another aspect was the business that has the semis. It was noted by city staff that numerous times those semis are actually parked in the road when they're backing in.
By trees.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
So that, again, that would stop a response, so that was why it was also not deemed very.
All right, Petty. Anyway, my concern is that, you know, as we sit here, and I love to listen to the feedback, but you can't, don't give it to us. Give it to the who really can make that decision, and that's the city, your city council. I can't speak that they haven't held meetings like this, informal town hall type meetings like this. I can't speak to that. If they didn't, or let the neighbors know, I don't know. But, anyway, those are my concerns as West Hills Commission member of what it's gonna look like and so on there.
Can I have a question quick?
The only other thing I wanted to add quick too is where you're putting this is, used to be where the apple orchards were, when the kids were here, and the farmland used to be here. So I know it's not a historical building per se, but there's a lot of historical spots over there that were something to this place when the orphanage ran. So it's not just that it's a building, but that was where the apple orchards were and the fields where the kids worked to provide their own food while they were here.
Sarah?
I have a question, because I'm a newbie on the commission. What exactly what are we here to do? Are we here to endorse it, or to just say, no, we're not? What is our duty? I guess is my question.
May I? Our duty is to advise the city council on what we feel is best for West Hills.
Yes, our duty, that's exactly right. And all we can do is advise, we can't consent, we can advise, that's all we can do. And Dan's point is that it is the Owatonna City Council that can make decisions that have to do with where stuff goes and how money is spent. It is not the West Hills Commission or the Planning Commission, it is the City Council of Owatonna. So, and I'm very glad that we had this public meeting here today, allowing people to tell us what they think. And I'm sure that staff will relate some of what has been said here. But it's the city council that can make a decision, not us.
To that point, Jan and Nancy, of advising, I think our ask today is if there's someone that would be willing to sit on our next phase of this, to be a voice of the West Hills Commission and to provide some feedback as chair at the table.
So basically, you're telling us this is where it's going.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
decision has been made to put it in this location.
The decision's been made.
I thought it was gonna be made tomorrow night at the council meeting. I was under the impression that.
It's not even on the agenda.
No, it's not an agenda item, right? It's
But you
not-
just kept on saying that it was, I'm confused.
It's not an agenda item of where it would go because it's city-owned land.
Chad?
Yeah, I would subscribe that, I hope Jenna carries back to the council. It's unusual to have an audience for your meetings. And here's what, for my 2 cents worth. Satisfy the public as taxpayers. Build your fire station, that seems to be the priority. Put this on the back burner for now. Taxes are too high, build this one building, put the other one on hold. You've already got a place you bought to put the police department. Whether they're another year or 18 months, doesn't matter. And again, I think it's a terrible location. It's shoehorned. To me, it feels like a knee jerk. That's all I got to say on that. But thank you for the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Chad.
I think, from my point of view, we've talked around and through this pretty much, we keep coming back to the same things. As I sit here on a West Hills Commission, which is advisory, and I understand it's advisory, I do wish that we would have had a conversation like this a year and a half ago, before any decisions were made.
Right.
Once a decision is made, it's no longer advisory.
Correct.
And we're here just saying, okay. I'm sorry about that. That is not, maybe we don't belong on a West Hills Commission. Maybe we don't need one, I don't know. But that isn't a function of the way this operates in my mind.
I'm just curious as to whether this building that you're proposing would fit in the property that we, as a city, purchased, and to allow the concrete operation to leave over by the Ford garage.
That property actually was investigated. It does have some items, number one being directly adjacent to the railroad tracks, which makes it undesirable if there's a spill of any kind, you've basically taken out your public safety amenities. And also, the other train tracks that runs east-west is at a high point, which would give security compromise to the facility for someone to perch up there. Both were reviewed by both the fire chief and the police chief, and that was their recommendation.
So I need to,
Is it large enough?
Is that?
Is it large enough to accommodate this building?
Not currently. Actually, there are private properties that piecemeal that property up that would need to be purchased, and at the time we were discussing it, those properties were not for sale.
So,
Would it, one more question, would it fit where the police station is presently, where the bank is? No, as I understand, there was another building that had been purchased. Where the police station is now?
The existing LEC?
Yes.
Excuse me?
The
Yes.
existing LEC?
Yes.
Yes.
It will not fit there. It will not fit there as a joint facility. It possibly could fit for either or.
I'm not talking about joint facility.
Okay? I was answering your question. It will fit for fire, police, it becomes a very tight site. But likely does not fit.
Have you purchased more buildings on that street now?
We have not.
Okay. Is there an intention, if you're going to be building the fire department there, the fire station there, is there an intention
there's
to
one
buy
property.
more property?
There's one property owner who offered their property for sale, that's on our council
Is
agenda
it-
for this evening.
To the east of the building
This
now?
evening.
We're gonna,
Yes.
is it down
Okay.
there?
Would it fit there? Would this project fit there then?
No. It's one house. It will not fit. You would need significant property to make it work.
No, I'm speaking about tearing down the old bank building,
Yep. We're tearing down the old oak building.
right? And you will acquire another house
Right.
To
That is
do
not
a
enough
fire
property.
to do a fire station.
For the fire station, yes.
But the police department wouldn't fit there.
Not the police station.
Would the fire station fit into the property that you have over by the Ford ground?
Same issues that I brought up. It was not
Well,
recommended.
because of the railroads?
Because the railroads, because if a tanker spills and there's a spill there of an ammonia, you've basically taken out. the
I
public
think that we are off our ability to even, I think we have really good questions, but I think that doesn't fit what we have. I have one last question, and that is, has the Owatonna City Council, actually approved this entire plan? You know, motion second pass. Has everyone voted that yes, indeed, this is happening? Or are we waiting to have more work done and presentations before they vote?
So it is, I don't know that the actual location was a vote, because we own the property, but the work has been authorized to continue.
The $61 million has been authorized.
The design and the location has been authorized, but the 61 million is in the, would need to be authorized to go down. So this is a phased, this is a step-by-step, so we're at this
Yeah.
step, we haven't gotten.
did that with
In
our
answer
ditches
to
in
your
the country,
question,
too.
I will speak with the
We'll
commission
spend
and
200 grand
and
getting an
see if we have a
investigation.
volunteer that would care
Step
to
one,
do
step
that,
two,
or
step three,
if
and it's too far down the
the
road to do
feeling
anything
is
about
that,
it.
we gotta do the best we can for the West Hills, that, because we have no other choice. Cause I'm not hearing a lot of unanimous, thought that this is a great idea, to put a building. I'm really not hearing that from the commission, although no one has motion seconded it, and nor have we voted on do we like it or not, but that's because nobody asked. So,
And I'd just like to say, when we did this space, we did this addition here, there was a lot of change there and a lot of, a lot of back and forth. But because we could work together, and work through it, I think we did a nice job honoring the stage, putting the names on the building, talking about the district. So I think we have a good track record. of working together and being able to, have a win-win when we're done with this, and having an operation that supports the city. So, with that, I'll look forward to, if you have a volunteer to stand up.
We'll see.
offer.
And the commission people can just text me, write me, call me, or we can speak afterwards about that.
Sure, and if you could get that name to me when you get a chance, that would be.
I'd be happy.
Thank you for your time.
But until that time, I think unless you have something that is germane to the West Hills Commission, it would be time for us to call for a motion to adjourn.
She nodded her head yes.
Oh, you have something, okay, good. And the hill's gone, is that, I'm hearing you, the sliding hill will be gone in this plan?
The entrance to the garage.
It's the entrance to the garage, it's gone,
The design
okay.
has not been set in stone. We're in schematic plans, and frankly, that's exactly why we're here right now, is to get input. I appreciate, is it Dan? I appreciate your input on, you wanna minimize visual impact, you wanna preserve as many trees. I think I picked up that if there's a way to preserve the sledding hill, that'd be a goal. Police really love engagement with the community. I've seen a lot of communities who purposefully put a skate park right next to the police station because they like that interaction with teams. And so those are all ideas that we can bring forward on how to make this place an asset to the West Hills campus. And that's really what we're here today, is to hear from the commission on what would make this facility beneficial to the campus as opposed to an eyesore.
I wanted to thank you guys for your time. As someone who has attended the meetings for 3.5 years, I did not hear about this meeting until last night, and I know where to go find that information. I am out there looking up what meetings are happening when, and this meeting is not even included in the list of normal meetings. So that right there is an issue as well. But you guys should have been approached first, and that is what my group has been advocating for 3.5 years. That's where the government is going wrong here. We need to have communication and people involved from the very beginning. We shouldn't be bringing this to you guys after the decision is made. This needs to be, you guys need to be our voice, because there's 28 million or 28,000 of us, and we can't all show up. And that's where if we come to this meeting, you guys get to speak for us and say, this is what the people told us. And that's why it's important that we bring this up front ahead of time and have people involved from the very beginning. And as far as the notifications go, there've been a couple, but again, I'm signed up for all of those things because I'm very well involved here, and there hasn't been a lot, but again, decisions have been made before we have to say.
Thank you very much, thank you. Thank you all very much for coming. And Nancy moves we adjourn, and I think we have a unanimous second to that, so we're adjourned.